What if the reason you keep getting tired has nothing to do with your legs, your lungs, or your mental strength? What if the real limit is something you've never trained, never seen, and never been told about? Yet it decides whether you finish strong or fall apart every single time. What if everything you believe about running endurance is wrong? What if the reason you're gasping for air at the end of a 5K, the reason your legs feel like they're on fire in the final kilometers of a marathon, does it have almost nothing to do with weak muscles, poor lungs, or lack of willpower? Most runners spend years chasing the wrong solution. They push harder. They suffer more. They tell themselves that pain is progress, yet the result is always the same. Fatigue comes anyway. The wall still appears and performance plateaus, no matter how strong or disciplined they become. Here is the uncomfortable truth that few people talk about. Your running performance does not start in your legs. It does not start in your lungs. It starts somewhere far smaller, far deeper, and completely invisible to the eye. Inside your cells lives a hidden engine that decides whether you finish strong or fall apart when it matters most. And if you don't train this engine correctly, no shoe, no gel, no workout plan will ever save you. RunForce Mindset warmly welcomes you, Al. If you want science-based insights that change how you train and how you think, make sure to subscribe to the channel so we can keep creating powerful content like this for you. Before we continue, here's a question for you. Which do you think limits endurance more? A, muscle strength. B, cellular energy systems. Comment A or B below. And let's see how many runners truly understand what's holding them back. If endurance isn't decided by how hard you push, then the real question becomes this: where is performance actually created? Most runners look outward for answers. They focus on shoes, watches, nutrition plans, and perfect splits, believing that performance is something you add on from the outside. But the truth is far more fundamental. Endurance is not built on the road or on your training log. It is built inside your body at a level most people never consider. Deep within your muscle cells are tiny structures whose only job is to turn air and food into movement. These structures determine how long you can hold a pace, how calmly your body responds to stress, and how quickly fatigue takes over. They do not care about motivation or ego. They respond only to biology. This is where the real engine of running lives, not in your legs, but in the microscopic systems that power every single stride you take. Why do you actually get tired? To understand why this hidden engine matters so much, we first have to understand what actually causes fatigue in the body. Every stride you take demands energy, but your muscles cannot use food or body fat directly. They only respond to one form of fuel, ATP. This is the chemical spark that allows muscles to contract, relax, and repeat that cycle thousands of times during a run. When ATP supply falls behind demand, fatigue is no longer a feeling. It becomes a physical limit. This is where the process either stays efficient or begins to break down. Inside your cells, oxygen and fuel must be converted into usable energy quickly and cleanly. When that system struggles, your body compensates by shifting into less efficient pathways, creating acidity and discomfort that force you to slow down. So, fatigue isn't weakness. It's a signal that your energy production system can no longer keep up with the pace you're asking it to hold. And once you see fatigue through that lens, the mystery of elite runners begins to make sense. When you watch top-level marathoners glide along at paces that feel impossible, it's tempting to believe they possess something supernatural. But their advantage isn't magic, and it isn't a higher tolerance for pain. It's efficiency at the deepest level of their muscles. Their cells are packed with energy-producing systems that can meet high demands without chaos or panic. At speeds where most runners slip into oxygen debt and mounting discomfort, elite athletes remain metabolically calm. Their bodies rely on stable, aerobic energy rather than emergency systems that flood the muscles with fatigue signals. What appears effortless on the surface is the result of years spent developing internal density, not external toughness. The gap between average and elite performance isn't about suffering more. It's about building an engine that never feels rushed, even when the pace is demanding. And this is where the most important misunderstanding in endurance training reveals itself. Many runners assume that training improves this internal engine in a single, linear way. In reality, the body adapts along two distinct paths, and ignoring either one leaves performance incomplete. The first path is expansion. Through sustained, repeated demand, the body responds by building more energy-producing capacity within the muscle. This is not about intensity, but about time and consistency. It is how the engine grows. The second path is refinement. Under higher stress, the existing systems are forced to operate with greater precision. Energy production becomes cleaner, faster, and more economical. At this level, the body also learns a critical survival skill: choosing fuel wisely. Instead of burning through limited reserves, it shifts toward more sustainable sources. True endurance is not built by doing one thing better. It is built by developing both capacity and efficiency together over time. And once you understand that endurance depends on specific adaptations, one dangerous myth begins to fall apart. Many runners are taught to believe that every run must hurt in order to matter, that exhaustion is proof of progress. But pain, by itself, is not a training signal. It is simply noise. The systems that govern endurance do not reward constant struggle. They respond to clarity and purpose. When stress is applied without structure, the body protects itself rather than improving. This is why grinding through hard sessions day after day so often leads to stagnation. The internal engine becomes overwhelmed, not upgraded. Fatigue accumulates faster than adaptation, and motivation slowly erodes. Progress stalls, even though effort remains high. Endurance training is not a test of suffering. It is a conversation with the body. When the message is precise, the response is powerful. When it is chaotic, the body simply learns how to survive, not how to excel. When training stops being about punishment, it becomes possible to send the right signals at the right time. The internal engine responds best to contrast, not constant intensity. Long periods of calm, controlled effort allow energy systems to expand without resistance. During these moments, the body works steadily, quietly building the capacity to produce energy over extended durations. This is where endurance is truly laid down, one patient session at a time. Then, in much smaller doses, intensity enters the picture. Short exposures to high demand force the system to sharpen. Energy production becomes faster, cleaner, and more resilient under pressure. These efforts are not about volume, but about precision. Progress emerges from the balance between these two states. Easy running builds the foundation, while brief moments of intensity strengthen it. Together, they create a training rhythm that develops endurance without breaking the body, allowing consistency to replace exhaustion as the true driver of improvement. And beyond training intensity itself, there is another powerful signal many runners overlook: fuel availability. The body does not just burn fuel, it interprets it to. At times, training with lower energy availability can encourage the internal engine to become more flexible and efficient, learning to rely on deeper reserves rather than quick sources. When used carefully, this approach can strengthen endurance at its foundation. But this signal must be handled with respect. Applied too often or combined with high stress, it shifts from adaptation to strain. The goal is not deprivation, but strategic challenge. When fuel is manipulated thoughtfully, it teaches the body resilience. When it is abused, it undermines recovery and long-term progress. And when these signals are applied correctly over time, their impact reaches far beyond performance. As the years pass, fatigue often arrives earlier, and recovery grows slower, not because effort fades, but because the internal engine quietly declines. Energy systems shrink, efficiency drops, and the body begins to feel older than it should. Yet endurance training interrupts that process. Consistent aerobic stress preserves the systems that produce energy and keeps them responsive. This is why experienced endurance athletes often appear biologically younger than their peers. Their bodies do not resist time, but they adapt to it. Running, when done intelligently, becomes more than a sport. It becomes a way of maintaining vitality at the cellular level, long after most people begin to slow down. And when you step back and see the full picture, every run takes on a new meaning. Those long, steady sessions are not just time on your feet. They are moments when new energy systems are quietly constructed. The shorter, demanding efforts are not acts of punishment, but targeted challenges that refine what has already been built. Even rest plays a role, allowing the body to complete the work it has started. If progress has stalled or endurance feels fragile, the issue is rarely effort or discipline. It is usually a mismatch between stress and adaptation. Once you understand this, training stops feeling random. Each run becomes a deliberate investment in an engine designed to carry you farther, with less resistance, for years to come. And this understanding leads to one final realization. Guessing is no longer enough. No two runners share the same internal engine. Training history, stress, recovery, and daily life all shape how the body responds. A generic plan cannot see these differences, and effort alone cannot correct them. Progress comes from alignment, not randomness. If you are ready to stop training blindly and start training with intention, the next step is clarity. Build a plan that reflects your physiology, not someone else's highlight reel. When training becomes personal, the engine responds. And when the engine responds, endurance stops being something you chase and becomes something you can finally trust. In the end, endurance is not built through force, but through understanding. When you learn to respect how the body truly adapts, effort becomes more meaningful and progress more sustainable. The deeper lesson reaches beyond running. Growth in any area of life follows the same principle. Lasting strength comes from working with the system, not fighting against it. When you apply patience, structure, and intention, improvement compounds quietly over time. Whether in training, career, or personal growth, the goal is the same: to build strong foundations before demanding peak performance. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Do you believe progress in life comes more from pushing hard or from working smarter? Please share your thoughts in the comments so everyone can learn from different perspectives. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to support RunForce Mindset and help us continue creating valuable content for you.